Hi there, Erin Lee here of heavenlymessenger.com, one half of the Universal Connections duo. First of all, thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure for me to be able to connect with you in this way. As you can see, I'm here on my own today. My good friend, Miss Bobby Roundtree, she's off celebrating family. It's the eve of her daughter's birthday this evening. So they are celebrating and having a good time. So, in Bobby's absence, I'm holding down the fort. I'm going solo today. That means that we're going to do readings today, 100%. But before we do that, before you ask any questions, hold on, let me just put up my little banner. Hellos are welcome, but please hold on to your questions. I do that because often I become completely inundated. People will hop on right at the very beginning, put their question in. They're not around for when we finally do get to the questions. So please hold on to your questions for right now. I'll let you know when you can start asking them. We've got a couple things we're going to do first, and then we'll go to it. So thank you again for joining me. This is what I call my show, Connection with Intention. Before Bobby and I started doing our Oracle chats on Sunday afternoons, I had a live show that I do where I would answer questions, and we talk about things that are relevant at the time. So there has been a lot of energy that's coming up. I do want to talk about love and romance and relationship. We are on the eve of Valentine's Day. And so that always brings up questions about like love, romance, relationship. Where are things going in my current relationship? How do I find romance? All sorts of different aspects. I've brought my soulmate clear quartz crystal. This was a gift from my beautiful friends Jenna and Phil, and this was the crystal that helped to manifest love in their life. If I go this way, you can see we've got our rose quartz heart here hanging out as well. So definitely we'll talk about love. But before we get to that, I want to take a moment to talk about grief really quickly. Because grief is something that has been coming up in a lot of different ways. In the last several weeks, I've lost 4 people in my life. Some I've had closer relationships to than others. I'm fortunate in that no one in my immediate family has crossed in past, but of course, of the people who have passed, they have been immediate family and loves for other people. I've lost clients, I've lost extended family, and friends as well. So it's been a big thing, and it's really brought home how we deal with grief in our culture. And yes, there's the grief that we experience when a loved one passes. There is the grief that we experience when we put ourselves in the place of the people who have lost loved ones. So for example, if you lose a sibling, in a lot of ways we prepare ourselves to lose our grandparents, and sometimes we prepare ourselves to lose our parents, though they are still really big losses. We often don't think about what it's like to lose a sibling or somebody else who's perhaps closer to us in age. And when that happens for a loved one, we kind of put ourselves in that place. Well, what would it be like if I lost this person from my life? So grief manifests in a lot of different ways. There's grief when we invest our time, energy, and resources into people, relationships, and situations, and then sometimes they don't work out the way that we expect them to, and there's loss and grief that's associated with that. So as a society, as a culture, we don't do very well with grief. And you might say, hey, Erin, like, why are we talking about this when you said we were going to talk about love? Well, I see allowing ourselves to grieve the things that happen in our lives. I think that it is a form of love. It's a form of self-love. And when we take the time to recognize that, to honor that, and to focus on that, we allow ourselves the capacity for greater amounts of love. Grief is the proof that love existed, or that love exists. It is the other side of the coin. And I firmly believe that grief is that expression of love when we are no longer able to give and receive love in the way that we want to with the person that we care about. So grief, I believe, does have a place in love as well. Oh, you guys, we've got our first scammer. My apologies. They hopped on really quickly, and I'm just going to get rid of them. So Anybody who's offering readings, except me live here, is not affiliated with me. So my apologies in advance. Let's take a moment and say hello to everyone. Leslie, hello, welcome. It's great to see you. And I was just doing a live a little bit earlier this afternoon with my good friend Josh. I see a couple of people have joined us for both. Leslie, I saw you on both. It's great to see you. And same with you, Chantel. Hello, it's wonderful to see you. Heather, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And Tanya, Cassandra, and Chantel, Tanya, again, different Tanya. Tatiana, it's great to see you. I sent you an email the other day. Please check your spam folder. Sometimes my emails end up there. I'd love to connect. Tamra, it's great to see you. And Verna and Jerry. It's wonderful to see all of you. Oh, and Ange and Nancy. And we've got more people. And Chantel and Jerry and Moana. Hello. It's wonderful to see all of you. Thank you so much for joining us. And again, I see several people here who were with Josh and I earlier. Thank you for joining us then and now. It's such a pleasure connecting with each and every one of you. And I see that. Oh, Tammy, hi. And Nicole as well. Tammy, you've been on my mind. I'm going to call you this week. And Nicole too. It's wonderful to see you. And Denise, oh my gosh, you guys, you're coming on. It's great to see you. So before we get too much further into things, I do want to make sure that we have lots of time for readings today. Don't post your questions just yet because we're going to do the Choose Your Adventure crystal reading first. The reason that I do this is it gives everybody an opportunity to receive a message. So before I put up the crystals that you can choose from, let's just take a moment to calm and ground and center ourselves. We've got lovely community that's here with us today. I'm super excited that you're all here. So let's take a moment to breathe, to feel into a place of love and support. I like to work with angels, so we'll call in our angels. We'll ask them for help and support and helping us to receive the message that we most need today. Now, the way that I do this, you are welcome to ask more than one question. So just take a moment and think about the question or questions that you would like to ask. I'll just throw this up on the screen here. I had a bit of fun taking the pictures for our crystals today. So these are our crystal choices. We have Angel Aura, Angel Light, and Citrine. So think about your first question or your question. Take a moment. Which of these crystals best represents the answer that you need to hear today? And do the same with any other question that you have. So we have Angel Aura, Angel Light, and Citrine. And you know what? It's kind of funny. You guys can't see this, but the card deck's actually set up beautifully to go with the crystals. So I'm just going to take a moment and pull each of the cards. So I'm shuffling right now for our Angel Light card. And got one more for our Angel Aura. I ended up going backwards. Angel Aura. And let's see what messages we have coming up. So I'm going to take this picture down so that you guys can see the cards. Wonderful. So the first card that we had was for our Angel Aura. That's this guy here. He's kind of hard to see. And this was chosen from the Angel Oracle card, or pardon me, messages from your angels. And this is really beautiful. The card that we have here is Mystique. And her message is keep charging ahead and don't take no for an answer. Expect miraculous solutions to appear. So there's a lot of magic in the circumstance and the situation that you're asking about right now. And one of the things that really comes up is that we may not always be aware of all of the options or all of the possibilities in the situation, but we are being told that it's important to keep moving forward, to keep going ahead. So pay attention to your intuition, listen, and keep moving forward. It's not a time to sit back and to wait, but this is a time of action. And even if it doesn't feel like there is something that's coming together, sometimes we can't always see what it is. And we kind of have to trust and need to have faith. So keep moving forward. There is a lot of support for you. The crystal that you've chosen is angel aura, and it's a really interesting crystal. It's clear quartz that has been bonded with a precious metal. And I'm going to admit I can't remember which one it is. Aqua aura, I know, has been bonded with gold, and basically it gives this iridescence to it. And when we think about what that is, it is a crystal that has literally been transformed. We've taken two elements, two things that are very natural, and we've combined them together in a way that isn't natural because we've done it ourselves, but it has created this beautiful, incredible, powerful stone that has merged many things together. That's interesting, because there is an aspect of merging that's coming up with this message as well. So know that you aren't alone in the circumstance or the situation that you're asking about, that there is an equal force that is working towards coming together with you. If you chose Angelite for your crystal, first of all, the card deck that we have for this is the Mermaids and Dolphins, and our message is positive energy. Surround yourself with positive people and situations and avoid negativity. So what this says is that you're probably in a place or a time where things are feeling intense. There's a lot of energy that's going on around you, and you have a lot of choice in this matter. It's important to make sure that you are actively, consciously, and mindfully making choices and decisions at this time, and not allowing yourself to fall back into patterns because they're comfortable or they're easy. The message that's coming through for you is to make sure that you're paying attention to what you're doing and you're not on autopilot. And when it does come to making choices and decisions, give the benefit of the doubt, but also make sure that you're focusing on the positive in the situations. It can be really easy, particularly if we've been dealing with something for a long time that feels like it's pulling us down, to get into that downward spiral and play the what if down game. And the what if down game is, what if this awful thing happens and this other awful thing happens and then this other awful thing happens, and then suddenly we've thought ourselves down into a pit. This card is saying, play the what if up game. Well, what if this thing happens and then this amazing thing happens and this other amazing thing happens, and then suddenly you've built this incredible opportunity for yourself. You are in control more than you realize in the question and the circumstances that you've asked about, but make sure that your choices are reflecting that. The Angelite crystal that you chose, Angelite is, as you may have guessed, connected with the angels. So there is help and support for you in this situation. Communication is really strong. So make sure you're asking your angels for help, love, and support in navigating these choices, in making the decisions that are in your best and highest good, and for asking for help, support, and faith going through it as well. And then the last card that we have was Citrine. And this is from the Archangel Oracle deck. And the card is Comfort. This is Archangel Azrael. And his message is, I am helping you in your time of need, helping your heart to heal. And I just need to take a moment with this one because it applies on so many different levels. I find it really interesting that Archangel Azrael is coming in on the heels of talking about grief, because Archangel Azrael in the past has been called the angel of death, because one of his primary purposes in our lives is to help loved ones cross over to the other side. So when it's their time to leave the physical body, Archangel Azrael comes in, helps and supports them in connecting and moving on to the other side. In addition to that, he helps and supports us with connecting and communicating with our loved ones on the other side, helps and supports us in dealing with the loss and the grief, not only with the passing of loved ones, but just emotion, loss, and grief in general. So in this situation, Archangel Azrael is saying, hey, there's probably a lot of big emotion that's coming up for you right now. Please ask for help and support. Give yourself time, love, and compassion to allow yourself to feel and to experience and to go through this. If you try to push it down, it'll come out later, potentially at an inconvenient time, and almost certainly as something that is much bigger than what it is now. So ask for help, time, support, and space and offer yourself the opportunity for some love of self, for some healing. In other circumstances and situations, this card also feels like it is encouragement to give a little bit of time and a little bit of space. Things don't need to happen right now, right this moment. Sometimes we become impatient because we want things to happen faster. Maybe we've been investing in these circumstances or situation, or we are ready. And sometimes things just aren't quite ready for us. So this card is also an encouragement to slow down, to take some time, to have a bit of patience, because there are things that are likely happening behind the scenes that you just don't see or understand just yet. The crystal that you chose with this, citrine, is all about clearing, releasing, and moving forward. So it's interesting that there's also that emotional connection, because this happens definitely emotionally, but also physically and energetically too. So make sure that you're taking time to clear out the things that are no longer working, that are no longer supporting you, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, or energetically. All right, let me see. So, oh, we've had another spammer, and it looks like they messaged you. My apologies, Cassandra, because I think that you were the only person that they contacted. All right, so in just a moment, I am going to put up the banner that says, hey, you can ask your question, but here are the things that I want to make sure that you do. First of all, I don't answer, do you have any messages for me questions? The messages that I receive, I'm psychic. And when I connect with you, everything is available to me. And so there's lots, and I only have a couple of minutes. So please, ask me a specific question. I'd be more than happy to answer it. If you do ask an unspecific question, I'll ask you to re-ask something. And if I get to you, awesome. And if not, well, hopefully next time. And oops, where is this? There we go. We'll do it like that. So please feel free to put your questions in the comments below. If you would like me to choose a particular or use a particular card deck for your reading, please include it with the question, because I don't see the comments after. So if it's not there, I'll just choose one on your behalf. Today we have the Archangel Oracle card deck, which is yellow. We have the blue deck, which is the mermaids and dolphins. We have the green deck, which is the messages from the angels. And I've also pulled out, it's been a while since I've used this one, but I figured Valentine's Day around the corner. We have the pink or the red deck, which is the romance angels. So let me know if you want me to use, a specific deck. Oh, good. I lost the comments for a second there and I couldn't see you. Okay, let me see. Hello, Amanda. Thanks for joining us. Oh, and hold on just a second, guys. I've got somebody else to block. The spammers are coming on. Actually, before I go into that in too much depth, I'm just going to mention, let me throw up the banner. Here we go. Bobby and I, one of the things that we've been looking for is a way to connect with you guys without the spammers, and also where everybody is able to see all of the comments. Currently, I think we're broadcasting to about 6 different places. And so I'm getting messages from people on all of those platforms, which means that you aren't necessarily able to see all of the questions or the comments that are coming in. StreamYard, which is the program that we use to stream to all of these different places, has now given us another option to do like a live webinar thing. So anyway, I'm going to give it a try this Tuesday, which is Valentine's Day, at 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 9 p.m. Eastern time. So what you need to do, head over to universalconnections.ca. I've got the website here. And one of the very first things that you'll see is new live streaming or something to that effect. And there's an area where you can sign up. I just did the sign up. I'm still figuring out how that all works, but we will be live and we will be doing something, and it will be for Valentine's Day. It will be fun, whether you're single, whether you're with somebody, whether you don't want to be with somebody, doesn't matter. There's going to be something fun for everyone. So please join me. Awesome. Okay. So let me see. Okay, so Amanda, I'm worried about the shift we as humans race is going through, and I'm terrified I won't level up per se to shift with it. Help. Oh my gosh, that is such an amazing question. Amanda, I think I saw you. Oh yes, of course, we talked. You were on the stream, the live stream with Josh and I, and this was something that we kind of touched on at the very end. So I think actually I would kind of reiterate some of the things that Josh and I were talking about. So Amanda, as I said, is talking about the shift we as the human race are going through. And there's a lot that's happening. There's a lot of opportunity and potential to be moving in into a higher vibration, into a greater place of peace and connection. And I think one of the things that's really important is, yes, to be aware of what's happening around you and to be aware of what's happening on a greater level as well. To be aware of current events, but at the same time, to also focus on yourself, your own well-being, and to focus on grounding yourself, to making sure that you're okay. And then an extension of that is connecting with the people around you. One of the really important aspects of the shifts that we're experiencing is that it works better when we work together, when we're focused on a place of peace, on a place of healing, and a place of cooperation. We're not always all going to think the same things. And my goodness, wouldn't the world be a boring place if we did? Because each of us have something really special and unique to contribute. And I think that honoring and recognizing that is really significant and important. But at the same time, also coming into a place where we're able to effectively communicate with each other without becoming overly upset, so that we can work at finding a solution that works for as many people as possible. And that solution is based in peace and understanding and harmony and balance. And I think some of the ways that we can best do that is to make sure that we are focusing on those things in ourselves and on those things in our relationships with our friends, family, and loved ones, and in the relationships that we have with the people in our community. As individuals, there's probably not a lot that we can do as a single person, but as many, there is a lot that we can do together. So focusing on yourself, being the best person that you can be with as much compassion as you can have for yourself as possible is the most important thing. As you're working on that and doing that, I think, again, like raising our energy and vibration is important, and that naturally starts to happen as we're focusing on those other things. Taking time to meditate can be really helpful. Checking in with yourself on a regular basis, actively doing things that promote your personal support, your personal growth and well-being, your personal spiritual experience. Those are all really helpful and supportive. Amanda, I don't have any worries and concerns about you, because it feels like this is a path that you're already on, you're already focusing on. And so instead, I really want to encourage approaching it with a sense of love and compassion, and possibly also play. Play, fun, and laughter is often overlooked in the learning process, in the ascension process. It's really important because it raises our energy and vibration and brings us into a place of play and fun. Interesting. So I did pull a card for you. This is from the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we have Archangel Metatron coming through. Indigo and Crystal children, you have a bond with children. In particular, you can help children who are sensitive. This is actually not something that we've spoken about in a very long time. But when this card comes up, to me, it's an indicator that you are a very sensitive person already. And the process that you're going through to understand, to become aware of, and to help balance and support yourself in the sensitivities that you have is a big part of that growth, that learning, that ascension process, that connection with others. So if at any point during that process or as things are evolving, you feel disconnected or you feel unsupported, call on Archangel Metatron. He is happy to help you navigating any challenges that you may be experiencing. But again, know that you have more power and support in this situation than you may realize. I'm so incredibly glad that you joined us today, Amanda. Thank you. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Susan, hello. Thanks for joining us. It's wonderful to see you. Awesome. Okay, so we've got Heather here. Hi, Heather. Thanks for joining us. I was actually thinking about you just the other day. Let's take a look. Heather is wondering about love in her future. I'm feeling yes. Yes, I am definitely seeing someone, but my goodness, I feel really frustrated and I'm tired and I'm kind of kind of done. There's some aspect of love that you are just done with. What I would say is that perhaps it has less to do with love itself and more to do with the types of relationships that have been loving relationships. And I put loving in air quotes because it feels like love is not actually the word that would best describe them. So, what I'm feeling is a sense of frustration and overwhelm and tiredness and like a push pull back and forth that you're experiencing. On the one hand, you are wanting to experience love and you are ready for a loving relationship. On the other hand, I've got all of this crap that keeps coming up that's saying, hey, is this really what we want? So it feels like there's an aspect of yourself that is fighting against moving into relationship. And I'm wanting to slow down and to make sure that you are reminding yourself on a regular basis exactly what it is that you want and that it is something that is possible. In terms of when, I see lots of opportunities that are opening up, but I've got a little bit of fear that's coming through. And I'm not sure that you're entirely into the opportunities and the options that are presenting themselves. So, one, I just want to say I'm glad that you are being discerning in who you allow into your life on this level, because it is going to have to be somebody who's pretty darn amazing in order to be of interest to you, because you're really happy and content on your own. In fact, being on your own feels like it's a bit of a relief. I shared this quote with Bobby and with everybody who joined us last week. Men believe that they are competing with the top 10% of men for women's affection and for women's attention. Really, what they're competing with is a woman's own sense of peace and comfort that she has in being on her own. And that really resonated for me because being in relationship can certainly bring a lack of peace, but it can also bring a lot of other really amazing things too. So time frame. Oops, we've got a card that's just popped out for you. There are lots of opportunities that are coming up. I see one about 3-4 months from now, so that's heading into the summer. I've got another opening that's happening in the fall of this year, so both of those are this year. I've got some openings that are happening next year. So yeah, there are lots of openings and opportunities. In terms of one that you really get along with, I'm focusing a little more on next year, but these ones in between feel like they're starting to open things up and they're showing you things that can be possible. The card that flipped out for you from the romance deck is express your love. Go ahead and make the romantic gesture. So I kind of wonder if one of the people who is kind of hanging out, wanting to come in, who is of interest, is maybe recognizing that there are there's a lot of interest around, or two, that you've been kind of giving like the I don't think so vibes. So if this is somebody that you would be interested in pursuing relationship and connection with, you might need to be the one who makes the first move, because this person's being really respectful, which, I really appreciate, because respect in romance, relationship, and partnership is a good thing. It can just be a little bit challenging when it comes to making the first move. So allow yourself to smile, to relax if it's comfortable, and to be open to advances from the people that you find interesting. Heather, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. Sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. And it's so good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So Erin says, so after a magical start to the year, I ended up having a surgery earlier than expected. My energy feels really off. I woke up really discouraged about my relationship. And even though I'm seeing synchronicity still, and I woke up smelling his cologne, what the hell? I'm wondering what the energy is with us at the moment. It's so weird. Okay, so Ange, when I tap into what's going on for you, I want to actually just shake it off. It feels like part of the confusion is that you've got a lot of older energy that's still kind of hanging out, and I'm physically wanting to shake it off. Like if you've got like gunky stuff on your hand and you give it like a really good shake, that's what I'm seeing. So I want to encourage you to temporarily let go of the things that you're holding on to, and just shake things up, shake things out. It's kind of like if if you let something go and it comes back, then it was meant to be yours. But if it doesn't come back, then it wasn't meant to be at all. So when it comes to letting it go, I see this being okay, because if you need to hold on so strongly to it, then it's not there in the first place. But also it feels like there's some old energy that is interfering with the situation that you're in right now, and it needs to be shaken out, shaken loose, and that energy all needs to be redirected. So things do feel like they're coming back around, they're coming back together as we move into the middle of March. So we're about the middle of February right now. There is going to be a turnaround, and things are going to be coming back into balance in this connection that you have. And I'm seeing a lot of clarity, like a lot of clarity. And as that clarity comes in, it feels like you are the one who is making choices and decisions. Is this a relationship I'm wanting to pursue at this time in this way? And it feels like you're able to go back and say, hey, well, this is actually what I want and need. Let's work this out. Let's figure it out. So I suspect that that's also part of where the confusion is coming in, because it feels like both of you are coming at it from different perspectives. So shake it out, create that fresh start, that new energy where you can build, and then go forward with that. As I said, middle of March, feeling really significant. I was going to go to the romance angels, but we're going to the archangels for you. What does Ange need to know in the romantic relationship that she's in right now to move forward in a positive way? Yeah. Chakra clearing. And I just get a laugh out of this because this is also Archangel Metatron, who came in earlier for Amanda. Call upon me to clear and open your chakras using sacred geometric shapes. To me, this is really confirmation of the messages that we had with clearing things out and clearing things off. Go through, do a really significant and thorough cleansing and clearing. I mean, the things that I'm feeling are very physical, like physically moving your body, shaking stuff out, tapping into the relationship and potentially previous relationships. Where are you feeling that in the body? And can we shake it out? Doing energetic cleanses. And I have a lot of sensation coming up through like my neck, shoulders, like into the tops of my shoulders, down and through my back. There's a lot that you're holding on to that feels like it's having an energetic impact on the current situation that you're in right now. So this feels like this is really good cleansing and opportunity for you on lots of different levels. And I'm hearing healing coming up as well. So allowing your body to re-energize, rejuvenate, and come back into its own balance as well. Breathe, be gentle, and don't worry too much about things for the next couple of weeks. It's always a pleasure connecting with you, Ange. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, Tamra, hey, it's good to see you. Happy early Valentine's Day to you too. Wondering if we could do, a connection around career. I interviewed for a job last week that I really want. Do you see me getting the position? If not, anything else soon? So I do see a phone call that's coming up. It does feel like it's positive. I feel like they're kind of dotting their I's and crossing their T's. So the interview does feel like it went really well, but it feels like it's brought up some questions for them that they're going to bring back to you. So potentially they're going to ask you to clarify some things, or they'll ask you to come in for another interview. It feels like they might have narrowed things down to still like a couple of people. So I see the fact that there is additional connection and communication, and that they're asking for clarification or they're asking for more information as being a really positive part of things. I'm really wanting to encourage you to use sodalite and lapis, either in jewelry, particularly if it's up close to your neck, or just having the stones around, or if you do any sort of like crystal grid work, those would be really awesome stones to use, because they are focused on communication, and not only with you being able to communicate clearly, but also with the people on the other side being able to receive the information the way that you're intending it to be received. We've just come out of the shadow of Mercury retrograde. And so there's part of me that's wondering if maybe your interview was at some point during that time. I think Mercury went direct a while ago, but we didn't leave the shadow until about February 8th. So if the interview was during that time between like December and February 8th, there could also have been a bit of misunderstanding. So again, I'm really glad that they're coming back to you. I do have positive feelings coming up around this. If not this, there is another opportunity. It feels like you're kind of taking March to like refocus, recenter, re-energize yourself. And as we move into April and May, I'm seeing a couple of opportunities coming up. So even if you do accept this position, either there is something else that you're applying for, or something that you applied for in the past is coming up and it's being reoffered to you. So I'm seeing that there's lots of opportunity that's coming up, and it does feel like some pretty awesome career change coming through the next couple of months, not immediately. May is the timeline that I'm seeing. So yeah, there's definitely something interesting happening going on, but take your time, breathe, and relax. So we're going to the mermaids and dolphins because they're all about manifestation and money and finances, and accept heaven's help. You have prayed for help, so get out of the way and let heaven help you. This is definitely a card that talks about synchronicity, making sure that you're focusing on like not only recognizing the signs, but taking action on them, and also getting out of the way. You can hyper focus on things and cause them to fall apart, because when we hyper focus, often part of the reason for that is that there's underlying fear. I'm afraid that I'm not going to get what I want, so I'm going to focus on it. Or I'm afraid that I am going to get what I want and I'm not ready for it, so I hyper focus on it. So allow yourself to breathe, especially over the next couple of months, and especially if for some reason this one that we're talking about doesn't manifest, because there is definitely something that's coming. So just breathe, relax, take March off, like in your mind, take March off. But there is definitely career change that's coming up. It is feeling positive. It could be sooner than what I'm seeing, but there's definitely something coming through. So breathe and relax. It's always a pleasure connecting with you, Tam. Thank you for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and manifestation energy your way. Awesome. So we've got Jerry here. Hi, Jerry. It's great to see you. So Jerry says, I seem to be losing my eyesight. Sorry, I'm not laughing at that. I'm just laughing at it's great to see you. Okay. Is there an answer for me? Yeah. So we do have something physiologically that is going on, and I am wanting to encourage you to get in to see your family doctor, and also to see the eye doctor, just to see what is happening and what's going on, because physiologically there is something that's happening. So please get in to see some medical professionals about it. And then I'm also seeing, this feels like this is coming down over my third eye, and it's kind of like a curtain closing is the feeling that I have. Where is that coming from? There are things, what I'm hearing is that there are things that you're not wanting to see. And this feels like this might be things that are kind of scary and overwhelming or uncomfortable. Or possibly slightly dissociating from an experience either that you've had or that you're having. It's interesting because what it reminds me of is the way that sometimes children will shut down and they'll just stop seeing things. They'll be fully and completely clairvoyant, and they'll see so much more than we realize that they're seeing. And then just over time, it just kind of gets shut down, and they aren't seeing it as much anymore. That's almost what this reminds me of. And again, like this feeling of darkening, like that there's something that's coming down over your eyes. So as I said, there's definitely something physiologically happening. I do feel like there is help and support for you. So please go to see medical professionals, because it feels like they can help. But then from an energetic level, as I said, it feels like there are things that are uncomfortable to see, or that you're choosing not to see, and that it's having an effect and an impact in this energetic way as well. Let's see, we're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask, what does Jerry need to know about her sight? Oh, interesting. Okay, so we have the Outdoors card. This is Archangel Jophiel, and her message is go outside, get some fresh air, and connect with nature to relieve stress and gain new insight and creative ideas. This is really interesting. One, because nature is incredibly healing. And it also feels like this is a place, not only is it bright, so brighter than being in the house most times, it also feels like it's stimulating in a completely different way. And I'm wanting to encourage you to get out into the forest a forested area. It feels damp. It feels like there's lots of moss. And I know that Jerry also lives here on Vancouver Island. So we have lots of forested areas. We have lots of moisture. It's wet on the West Coast, and lots of moss as well. There is something significant about the greenery, which then actually takes me into healing with Archangel Raphael. So know that you aren't alone in the healing journey that you're on, and do call on Archangel Raphael and ask him for help and support with your physical eyes and also your third eye, which is all about clairvoyance. In addition to Archangel Raphael, I'm seeing Archangel Raziel helping and supporting, and he also helps with clarity of vision and clarity of thought. And Jophiel as well is helping and supporting and helping to get things on track. And of course, Archangel Metatron helps and supports us with the chakras, and he's helping and supporting too. When it comes to working with your third eye, physically, the third eye is, just between our eyebrows, kind of on our forehead here. And the back of the third eye is actually, it's angled down like this. So the back of the third eye, this is the front, the back is down around here. And it's actually in the top of the little divot at the top, the base of the skull, in the little divot at the top of our neck. And so you can sandwich your third eye by pressing into that spot or having your hand in that spot and passing energy back and forth through the third eye. It actually feels absolutely amazing and can be really helpful if you're also experiencing headaches too. Jerry, it's always a pleasure seeing you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of healing, love, and support your way. Awesome. Okay, so we've got Cassandra here. Hi, Cassandra. Thanks for joining us. And you've specified the yellow deck. Thank you. Relationship-wise, I'm great. I have an amazing husband, and he's your rock. Absolutely. There's not a specific... Oh, okay, hold on. I see you've asked it down here. What does the universe want me to know for my future regarding my home? Thinking about full-time RV living for my family. Okay, let's take a look and see what's coming up around home. Yeah. Actually, when I start asking about RV living, what I feel are like weights, and it's literally like shackles falling off. So the house hunt, and I mean, we've connected several times for quite a while through the shows and whatnot. So I know that you've been looking for some time, Cassandra. And it feels like this has become a really heavy weight. Moving to what I'm going to call like an alternative living situation. So like not in a house or an apartment, but saying, hey, like we want freedom and flexibility, feels like it completely opens up lots of different opportunities. And, here on Vancouver Island, I know that there are a lot of people looking towards similar lifestyle. I'm feeling a lot of opening and opportunity if you guys wanted to come over here, or same to like the Sunshine Coast, because it feels like being close to the Lower Mainland is important and significant. So I do see that there are opportunities that are coming up for you. When I ask about timeline, this is interesting because I have April and May popping up really strongly, but I'm not seeing a move until a little bit later. So it's possible that you're finding something and then you're dotting all of your I's and crossing all of your T's before you're able to make that move, to make that shift. But as we move a little bit later into this year, August feels like now we're able to like lay down support, foundation, root. There's something really significant about September. And if I remember correctly, there are children in your life and in your home and family. And I wonder if that's part of it, that everything will be set up shortly after school is starting. So know that everything will be okay with school for them. I'm seeing them either fitting in really well, or that however you're choosing to approach education with them, that you have all of the resources and the support that you need. So yeah, there are some answers that are coming as we move into the later part of spring and summer. So let's just see what messages are coming up for you, Cassandra. Oh, this guy's sticking out. So we have Archangel Uriel, and his message is brilliant idea. Yes, your idea is divinely guided. Please take action to bring your idea to fruition. I don't think I could have gone through this deck and chosen a more accurate or appropriate card for you. This is definitely confirmation of everything that you're thinking about. And I'm going to say on top of that, including the locations that you are looking at. So it feels like you're on the right track, on the right path, and that part of the manifestation of that is in a significant amount of purging. I'm going to make a little confession here. Back in the early 2000s, I used to love HGTV and all of their home organizing shows and stuff. And one of the things, the exercises that they had for like living in a small space was like the purging, what stays, what goes, and what's like donation and selling and anything. And then they keep purging and purging and purging and purging down lower. I'm seeing that actually being part of your manifestation process, because you are focusing on not only is this how we're wanting to like house ourselves, house our family, but we're taking the action steps towards actually creating that. So Cassandra, know that you're on the right track and keep moving forward. Awesome. It was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Chantel, thanks for joining us. I know I sound like a broken record, but my little bear isn't home yet. What's holding it up? Do I need to do something? Oh, Chantel, my heart is with you and with your sweet little bear. I keep seeing a lock, and this feels like this is a physical lock. And I'm seeing little bear having a difficult time like getting out. I mean, I hesitate to suggest this, but I'm kind of seeing you knocking on doors in your neighborhood. And it feels like there are many who have had similar experience with losing their pets. I'm going to say losing their pets. And just to be like open and clear, Chantel has been on the show many times, which we love. And it has come up through other readings that little bear has been adopted by a neighbor a little ways away. But it feels like this neighbor adopts other animals as well, and has become something of a neighborhood collector of loved pets. So yeah, I'm seeing this moving beyond what you are able to physically do on your own, and it's moving into something that feels greater, that there is more community effort and emphasis that is being placed, and that with the support of others around you who have gone through similar experiences, you're able to start following the bits and pieces, because it feels like you have a piece and somebody else has a piece and somebody else has a piece. Each of the pieces on their own, you're not able to do a lot, but when you start putting them together, suddenly you have something that becomes very actionable. So it does feel like there is more information that you're going to find out. And on top of that, there's going to be additional help that's supporting you as well. I'm hearing Archangel Ariel popping up really strongly as I ask about this. And she's saying that she's helping to bring little bear back, but also is helping with the fire that is going to be needed in order to get things going. And to bring people together as well. She's got a really fiery, actionable kind of energy to her. So let's just see what additional messages are coming up for you around little bear. And interesting. So the card that we have here is career transition. This is Archangel Shamuel. And I'm going to be a little bit broad in the card. The message is your life purpose is triggering a blessed career change. Interesting. I mean, I also know that Chantel is a reader as well, and she does readings in a variety of different ways. I wonder if part of what you're going to be doing is pet and animal communication. I wonder if that's part of the evolution that is happening with this. So if it's not something you're already doing, then you'll start to do it, or that you will start doing more of it. But on top of that, Archangel Shamuel helps and supports us in finding things that are lost. So like in this case, little bear is lost and needing help to come home, but also helps us in like career, in love and romance and relationships. So call on Archangel Shamuel, ask for help and support. But do know that you're going to need more support than, angels. You're going to need people who are here as well. So work towards that. Chantel, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you and to your sweet little bear as well. Awesome. JC, I think that I've missed your question. Because I see. Sorry, that should say my son. You know what? I'm going to assume that we're doing a check-in and we're asking about your son. So that's what I'm going to go with, JC. And it's interesting because I was actually feeling your son earlier today before I did my live with Josh. So when I connect with your son and seeing how he's feeling and doing, what I'm feeling is that he's coming into a place of restlessness. And it reminded me of being sick for a long time. And so resting and sleeping a lot, because you're sick, you can't do a lot. And then kind of coming to that in between point where you're definitely feeling better. So you want to do things, but you're definitely not well enough to be doing the things that you usually do. And it feels like that's the kind of restlessness that he has coming up. It's like, yeah, my body probably could use a little more rest, but I've been resting for so long that I'm tired of being tired. So he does feel like he's moving into a place of transformation, into a place of transition, because there is this underlying feeling of restlessness. And the sense that as the weather becomes nicer and more consistently nice, that's when we're going to start to see movement and change that's happening for him. So there is this feeling of coming out of a grog, or a place of deep recuperative healing. And that, as I said, there's a bit of restlessness. I'm also feeling connection and interaction coming up over the next little while as well, so that you may have more direct interaction, either through message or things that are being left, or potentially in sight and verbal communication. So it does feel like we've got some significant openings that are happening, and a readiness, just a readiness. We're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck and just see what additional messages we have for JC around her son. And the card that we have here is sensitivity. This is Archangel Haniel, and her message is, you are extra sensitive to energies and emotions right now. Honor yourself and your feelings. And this feels like this is significant from a couple of perspectives. One, Archangel Haniel works with the energy of the moon, and that there are certain times during the lunar cycle when we are feeling more sensitive than others. And so use the moon as a bit of a guide in terms of the timing for opening opportunities for connection, that there could be times that are more comfortable for him for connection and communication. But I suspect that the bigger reason that this is coming in is it's kind of like having a cast removed from a leg or an arm. And the skin is extra sensitive because it hasn't been stimulated by anything in a long time. The repair work that has been done is still sensitive. It's still kind of tender. And so we don't have the resilience that we usually have, or that we used to have, because we've been in this place of significant healing. And so I'm hearing patience and compassion also coming to the forefront, that the adjustments that are coming up over the next while are going to be ones that are significant, and that space is likely still needed, because even though I'm feeling that there's a desire to connect, I'm also feeling an equal desire for my own space, and a bit of solitude as well. So just navigating that, less will be more. JC, it is always such a pleasure connecting with you. I'm so grateful that you came on today. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, to you, your family, and to your son as well. Awesome. Tanya, hello, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Tanya says, my love and I have just ventured into a new business together. Congratulations. Wonder how you see it working out for you, and also the deck of my choice. Okay, well, we're going to use the mermaids and dolphins, because it's all about manifestation, money, and creation. Let's see. So when I tap in, I feel like I'm checking everything twice. I guess kind of a little bit like Santa. I'm a little bit like Santa Claus. I've got my list. I'm checking it twice. I'm checking it 3 times. So it feels like you guys are really prepared. I do want to encourage you to keep checking in on a regular basis, but to also know that it's okay to like open the doors to get things going, to get things moving, because it feels like you're really well prepared. And you've prepared not only for the things that you know that you're going to need, you've prepared for the things that you might possibly need, for circumstances and situations that might possibly come up, which is awesome. It feels like the universe has a bit of a sense of humor, and they're going to throw another curveball at you. So rather than focusing on the things that you don't know could come up, I'm wanting to kind of hold that energy, those resources in reserve, so that you have the fluidity and the flexibility to connect and to deal with those things as they do come up. It does feel like we've got some good growth coming through, and there's some aspect of the business that you've started that feels like it's seasonal. And I do have a building that's happening, but as we move into like the end of August and beginning of September, things feel like they're really starting to take off. So either that's something that's expected, which is awesome, well done, or there's a bit of an evolution that you guys are looking at as like you grow and build and develop, and you're expanding into an area either that you weren't expecting to expand into, or you expand into it sooner than you had planned, which both of which feel like they're incredibly exciting, and also makes a lot of sense to the need to have some resources. And when I talk about resources, I mean like time, money, energy. So making sure that you and your husband have the energy that you need to put additional information out, to put additional energy out. So making sure that you have the resources that you need for this change, for this unexpected opportunity, or this opening. And as I said, August, September feels like the time when things are really coming to the forefront to fruition. But I'm seeing this being very successful. And when I talk about success, I look at a variety of different things. I mean, when we start a business, we want things to be financially successful, and I do see that being there. I'm seeing things being like on budget, on track. So that's feeling good. Whatever your projections are, they're feeling like they're pretty accurate. Success in terms of, the time and the energy that you need and or that you have at the end of the day, and overall satisfaction with like work-life balance. So I'm seeing success in a lot of different aspects, in a lot of different ways in the business you've started. I mean, honestly, I think that this is kind of the ideal that everybody who starts a business is wanting and hoping for. And a lot of that feels like that comes from not only the connection that you and your husband have, the way that you're able to work together, but on top of that, the preparation that you've gone through. You guys are really ready, and you have the resources that you need to support it, which is amazing. Okay, let's choose your card. I'm hearing the self-employment card. Oh, interesting. No, the card that we have here is make a decision. So feeling stuck or indecisive, listen to your intuition and make a decision. And that's really interesting because when we talk about feeling stuck or indecisive, if we're not making a choice and a decision, then we're choosing to stay where we are. And it's a very passive way of making choice and decision. I suspect that this is coming up for you less from a feeling of being stuck, but perhaps more from the perspective of being really big planners and really preparing. So possibly this is part of the reason that you've thought about all of the potentials and all of the things that could happen, that could go wrong, or that could go right, because then you're prepared for them. So I want to encourage you to know that you've done a really great job with the with the research. You have the resources that you need. You can make decisions on the go, on the fly. And maybe it could be helpful to have conversation beforehand. Like, if these opportunities come up, what are the things that we think we're going to need, so that you already kind of have a bit of a plan in place in your mind, so that you can really take advantage of them when they show up. Tanya, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and lots of abundance in this new venture for you and your husband. That's really exciting. Awesome. Let me see. Ooh, Verna's got a really interesting question here. Hi, Verna. Thanks for joining us. I'm wondering, how many past lives can someone have? It's so funny that you're talking about past lives, because I was literally thinking about that earlier today and the impact that our past lives can have. I don't know that I have a really straightforward answer for you on that. And the reason for that is that we can have many, many, many past lives. We can have past lives that were here on the earth, but we can also have past lives that we experienced in different ways. So, for example, there are people who will have had past lives or past experiences as spirit guides, as angels. I was going to say ascended masters, and I don't actually know about that one. So, ascended masters are people who had lives here on the earth, who, pardon me, who passed over, who ascended, and who now continue to help people who are here. So, examples of ascended masters would be like Jesus or Mother Mary or Buddha. We have lots of people, very enlightened people, who have passed over. And I know that a lot of people will feel that they have like a Jesus energy or a Buddha energy. And I don't know how valid that is. I haven't personally encountered somebody that I've said, hey, yeah, that person really feels like that. I've certainly experienced people having that energy around them. Jesus is very present, or Mary or Buddha is really present in helping and supporting them. But actually being the embodiment, I haven't personally experienced. So there are a lot of past lives that people can have. I hesitate to ascribe to this, but when I first started doing this work, I did some mediumship courses and classes. And at that point, we're talking almost 20 years ago, there was the idea that a person would need 200 to 300 years for their soul to come back around to be ready to reincarnate again on the earth. If we were going to use that, then 200 to 300 years, just in the last 1,000 years, you could have had up to 10 lifetimes. And then, of course, the earth has been here much longer. It could go much further back. I hesitate to ascribe to that at this point, because that's very linear and very structured. And I think one of the things that I've learned in the time exploring this world is that there really things happen in a lot of really interesting ways that our minds just don't comprehend. So I don't think I actually have an answer for how many past lives a person can have, just because the answer is really fluid. What I can say is that I do see that people have a lot of different experiences in the lives that they've had, and that the soul is learning a lot of things. One thing that Bobby and I talk about sometimes, but I'm going to mention it again here. She was actually the first person that I initially shared this thought with years ago when I was in her yoga class. One of the things that I will get a lot with people is that they will tell me that they lived through the Holocaust and that they have reincarnated, that their soul has reincarnated and it's having another life here. And there will sometimes be other significant historical events that people have felt really strongly that they have lived through and that they're coming back. And again, part of this goes back to that like really structural thought that, there's a certain amount of time that we need on the other side in order to reincarnate, which I do believe is true. Is it possible to shift timelines and stuff? I think so. So, what's 300 years here might only be 5 days on the other side. I don't know. But what I do see more is that often before people are born into this lifetime, they have time as spirit guides. And so what I was seeing was that these souls had acted as a spirit guide for people who were in those really traumatic experiences, who were involved in the world wars or in the Holocaust or, Stalinist Russia, like who had these really significant experiences. And of course, because of how much support was given and how involved they were in being there, it feels like it was something that they lived through. And they did, but not necessarily as humans, but more as guides to humans. So that's one thing that I've certainly seen, and that's been confirmed for me many times in many people that I've connected with, is that often when people have really significant past life experiences within a relatively short period of time, so like 100, 200 years, that often that experience was actually as a guide and not necessarily in human form. Brenna, that was such an interesting question. And, I would love to hear in the comments from people below if you have any thoughts on that, or if you've had any experiences on that. I hope that I get to everybody who comments. And I'm also going to bring that one up with Bobby for the next time that we share and connect, because I think that's a really great question. Brenna, thank you so much for asking and for joining us. It was a pleasure speaking with you today. Awesome. Let me see. Oh yeah, and Chantel is just speaking to the invitation that I had for February the 14th. I think you're probably right, because I think you're about 8 hours ahead of us. So just because Chantel's mentioned it, thank you. I'll put it up here again. One of the issues that Bobby and I run into in doing our show like this is we get the spammers, the people who are offering readings to people live on the show. Plus, because we broadcast to multiple different platforms, you're not able to see all of the comments that are coming in that I'm responding to. So if you head over to our website, universalconnections.ca, I have an invitation there to join us live, or sorry, I should say to join me live. Bobby doesn't know that I'm doing it yet, so she might be there too. This Tuesday, February the 14th at 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 9 p.m. Eastern, which is much, much later in Europe. And we'll probably do readings. We'll probably talk about love, romance, relationship. I guarantee you will have fun, but it's also acting as a bit of a test to see if this is something that's viable for us, where we can all connect together. I have required registration, so you just need to put in your name and your email address. And in theory, you will get an email that will remind you and will give you all of the details in order to be able to join. I haven't gotten that far yet, but it should be there. So please join me and possibly Bobby on Tuesday. Awesome. Okay, Marissa, thanks for joining us. Marissa's asking about meeting someone soon. So I'm going to assume that you mean somebody from a romantic point of view, as opposed to just somebody randomly on the street. What do we have coming up? I'm actually hearing you've already met somebody kind of interesting. So if you haven't, or the person that you've met is not somebody that you're interested in, you need to be clear with them, because this person is kind of taking up space energetically in that romantic kind of corner in your life. And in order for somebody else to come in, you're going to need to say, hey, like, I'm not interested, and either to be really clear in that communication, or potentially to start looking at cutting ties, or certainly energetic bonds, and be clear that this is not somebody that you're interested in. And it's interesting, because then I feel like I've got my groove back and I'm actually wanting to move. I'm wanting to encourage you to go for walks and to get out dancing. So movement feels like it's going to be significant, not only in terms of like creating space in your energy field, but also it feels like that's part of how you're connecting with this new person. So this new person feels like they're probably fairly active and that they're wanting to be moving as well. This feels like fun movement. So like if you don't enjoy running, you're not going to meet them running. But if you really enjoy dancing, then get out and dance, take a dance class, or, get some friends together, go out to like a dance being held in your community, or at an evening event place, wherever you feel like you want to shake your groove thing, that's where you want to be. But movement feels like it's important. It's interesting. I'm talking a lot about movement, and I'm actually wanting to move some stuff in your home as well. So making space that you literally physically have room in your life for someone to come in. So there's lots of clearing messages that are coming up for you. And when you ask, will I meet someone soon? Marissa, that's kind of a relative question, because soon for some people is in the next 10 minutes, and for others could be sometime this year. So what I want to say is I do feel somebody, I want to say the next 6 weeks. 6 weeks to 3 months is kind of the timeline and the time frame I'm seeing. And as I say that, one of the things that Bobby shared with us last week, as she was talking about how she manifested her husband and the great love of her life, was that she actually went to see another reader who told her 3 months. And like Bobby's like, no, like I don't want 3 months. She said, okay, well, what about 3 weeks? No, I want faster than 3 weeks. Okay, so then what about 3 days? Yeah. 3 days would be good. And she did. So just because I'm seeing 6 weeks to 3 months doesn't mean that it can't be sooner. That's where it is right now. If you hop on things and you get things going and you're like, no, I'm just going to meet this person and have the expectation that it will happen, I'm not going to tell you that it can't. So I will certainly put my energy and my belief into that. Let's just take a look and see what messages are coming up for you, Marissa, in terms of meeting someone. Um, yeah, make the effort is the card that we have here. And one of the things I find really interesting about this card is we've got the little girl. I'm going to say it's a little girl. She's kind of looking off in the distance, and she's not really engaging with this person. Like this little boy is there, is ready to be connecting, and she's like, oh yeah, well, whatever. Great love is work taking the steps you're guided to take. So we've talked about a couple of action steps for you here, like movement's really big, clearing out your energy of anybody who's hanging out that you're not interested in, potentially clearing your space and making sure that there's room. Make sure you're doing those things because it is worthwhile doing. And sometimes we end up in relationships where we kind of hold on because something is better than nothing. If you've got one of those hanging out, it's time to let it go if you're serious about bringing someone new in. But Marissa, I do have a lot of opportunity that's coming up for you, but it's completely dependent upon what you're willing to do. I'm so grateful that you joined us. Thank you. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support, and romance angels your way. Oh, I should say, actually, if you are ready for love, you're looking for love, and you're needing help and support, call on the romance angels. They can help you to be in a place where you are ready to clear your energy, where you're in a place where you're doing the things that you need to bring that person in, or rather to be in a place where you are ready for relationship and partnership, not just like on this intellectual level, but actually physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually ready. Call on the romance angels. They're incredibly helpful. Awesome. Pamela, thanks for joining us. Pamela is wondering, I'm wondering if this is finally the year that my special fella and I will get to be together. Okay, let's take a look and see what we have here. So first of all, I'm feeling a lot of sadness, and I'm feeling a lot of heartbreak. So before I even get into what's happening between you and your special fella, I'm feeling that I need to hold some space for the experiences that you've had through the ups and downs and everything that's happened, for the love that you've invested in, for the dreams that you had that haven't yet come to fruition. It's really difficult to hold faith for something for the amount of time that you have, and to continue to put love and support into something that hasn't been coming back around. So I want to encourage you to just take some time and some space for yourself to really honor what you have already done and what you've already given, because it feels like that's really important. If you have the opportunity to go back and listen to some of the readings, a lot of the messages that I shared for Ange earlier feel like they're appropriate for you as well, particularly in terms of like shaking off the old and allowing the new to come in. Okay, so let's take a look and specifically see what's going on with your special fella. Something has changed since the last time that we connected. It's been a while since we've done the live reading. So, I mean, it has been some time. I am still seeing a disconnection, which is really frustrating because there's still love that's there. But he's showing me that his energy and concentration's over here and you're here. And it's like I'm almost intentionally not seeing and engaging. So I'm not exactly sure what's happening for him on an emotional level. I do see an opening that's coming up, but I am really wanting to encourage you to do the things that we just talked about, to make sure that you're not holding on to like the disappointment of what hasn't happened yet, because it feels like it's important to really recognize that. I do see that things have changed. It does feel like it's in a positive, but I don't have a timeline for you, because there's something that is keeping his direction and his energy and his attention over here. And as long as that has his attention, there's a block that is here. And I can't see what that thing is, or who, or like how long it's, how long. I'm really wanting to encourage focus on yourself, because that feels like that's definitely the thing that you have the energy and the control over. This person does still feel like they're worth investing in. So I'm not going to tell you to let it go completely, because that doesn't feel like that's serving a purpose for you. But it feels like there's definitely some healing for you that is coming to the forefront. We're going to go to the romance deck, and we're just going to ask what is happening in this relationship and connection for Pamela. So we have the forgiving and learning card. And the message that we have here is, as you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. And I think that's probably a really great way to summarize the message that I had for you, is that there is healing, there's releasing, there's healing, there's forgiveness that needs to happen. And I mean, when we open up to releasing and forgiving, part of the forgiveness is always coming into ourselves, forgiving ourselves for anything that we, could have done differently, or any, things that we've thought to ourselves, particularly if we've beaten ourselves up for anything, forgiveness for the circumstances that we find ourselves in that, feel like they don't have anything to do with you personally. So forgiveness of that, and just forgiveness on a soul level. So taking that time to really nurture, honor, and heal, and that helps to create opportunity for connection in the future. Pamela, my heart is with you. I'm so incredibly grateful that you joined us this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And I'm seeing lots of like sunshine and uplifted energy that's coming up for you as well. So I'm sending the visual of that to you too. Thanks for joining us. Awesome. Heidi, thanks for popping on. Okay, so relationship. Does he have good intentions, and what is next? Okay, let's take a look and see what's coming up around relationship for you, Heidi. Yeah, the intentions are good. Everything feels like it's being pulled out. And it's kind of like silly putty, or like if you chew, like when you were a kid, you chewed gum and you took it out of your mouth and it just stretched. That's kind of what I'm seeing. What I'm not seeing with it is, how sometimes you stretch something apart and you just stretch it so far that it just like breaks and it falls apart. I am not seeing that. In fact, there's an absence of that. And it just shows me that it's continuing to stretch and to hold. So it feels like if you're wanting change in this relationship and situation, that you're going to be the one who needs to make the change. So that says to me a couple of different things. One, he's not going to cut it off, that if you're needing an end to it, you're going to need to be the one who does that. But two, on the flip side, if you're wanting more in this relationship, it feels like you're going to be the one who's actually taking the action in it, which feels incredibly frustrating because this person doesn't feel like he usually operates that way. So what are we doing? We're going to give it some space. And again, like the messages that came up at the very beginning for Ange with, if you let something go and it comes back, then it's yours. But if it doesn't, then it wasn't meant to be. I'm kind of hearing that. So it's interesting because if you're needing an end, you need to make the ending. If you're wanting something more, you need to create the vacuum for the something more to come in. And so the action that is being taken actually, interestingly, feels like it's the same regardless of the outcome that you're wanting. So I'm seeing you, being clear that you do want to spend time, you do want to do things, but at the same time, you're not putting more in until something more comes back out. I do see this person's intentions being positive in wanting to connect with you, wanting to spend time with you, wanting to get to know you better. But there's something that's holding him back. It's not something that you can fix, not something you can really support him in. So it's going to be something that he's going to need to do himself. So yeah, that's kind of where things are sitting right now. I do see the two of you spending time together. And it feels like you're spending time together relatively soon, the next couple of weeks into March, April, and beyond. So I'd encourage you to have conversation. We mentioned earlier that we're now completely out of the Mercury retrograde shadow. So now is the time for those conversations, and to be really clear about your intentions, about what it is that you're looking for, what you're wanting to explore. Even if you aren't saying like, hey, I want a partnership and relationship and I want to shack up and get married, please don't say that. But be clear about the fact that you want to spend time with him and get to know him better. Interesting. So the card that we have here is wedding. And the message is this situation involves marriage. So this card can come up for a variety of different reasons. Given all of the other messages that have come through, it feels like this card is indicating that there is concern around commitment, around long-term commitment, and potentially getting to know somebody. And I suspect that that's a little bit of fear that's coming up, and or a lack of worthiness. Actually, this person feels like he has a lot of confidence, but possibly not in this area. And so potentially with you being the one to really be clear about your intentions, that might create space and opportunity, whether it's the intention that you want to spend time with him, the intention that you want to get to know him better, or the intention that, hey, you're happy to take things slowly, that you're not looking to jump into marriage, or you're not looking to really change your circumstances or situation at this point, that you're really just looking for somebody to get to know, to move forward in a better way. And if that question comes up later down the road, it's one that you're happy to approach with him. But yeah, marriage does feel like it's influencing his course and decisions at this moment. So be really clear about what it is that you're looking for. Awesome, Heidi. It's always a pleasure connecting with you. I'm so glad that you joined us today. Thank you. Sending big hugs, lots of love, support, and romance angels your way. Awesome, Judy. Hi, thanks for joining us. Wondering if there was a way to reconnect with my eldest son. Okay, yeah, let's take a look. So when I ask, I'm seeing that there are lots of offerings that you've already placed. So you've already extended lots of hands, either peace offering or you've made gestures, and it feels like at this point that the reconnection is needing to happen on your son's side, and I'm hearing asking him to get really loud and really clear. I'm wanting to connect with his higher self, because it feels like there's stuff that's needing to be cleared in the relationship. And these messages are coming from a place that it feels like your son is still physically here with us. So I just want to be clear about that as I carry forward with the messages. So I'm wanting to connect with his higher self. And so his higher self is like his soul self. It is the part of him that is not bogged down by ego. And it's the part of himself that, or the higher self is the part of us. I'm not going to use this relating to your son specifically. Our higher self is the part of us that continues to exist after our physical body is no longer existing. We can connect with a person's higher self either, once they've crossed over, and like that's mediumship and that's talking to their spirit. But we can also connect with it while they are still physically here. And that's what I'm seeing you doing. So you can do that in a variety of different ways. You can come into a place of calmness and quietness and meditation. You can create a little bit of ceremony around it if that feels comfortable. The lighting of candle can be really significant in opening up this type of communication. But the most important thing is the setting of intention. My intention is to connect with my son's higher self. My intention is to offer apology if that's needed, or offer forgiveness if that's needed. And that the intention is to open the lines of communication with higher self because you'd like to reestablish relationship, connection, and communication with your son. So it does definitely feel like that is something that can happen. But you making like the physical real world offers doesn't feel like it's getting you any further, and that really the next step is up to him. So have those conversations with his higher self, so this higher self can help to influence the choices and the decisions that he's making, and hopefully so that he can come to a place of understanding, again, having received either forgiveness or having received an apology or some combination of both or whatever it is, that he's able to come back into connection and communication. But it does feel like there is an opening and an openness, and I'm seeing celebration and birthday. So I'm seeing celebration and balloons, which can indicate birthday. So if there's a significant birthday that's coming up, or it can indicate some other form of celebration as well. So it could be like a wedding or an anniversary. It could be something like Mother's or Father's Day. But there is something that feels like it is promoting connection on his part, and that's part of what's bringing things together. Let's see, we're going to go to the messages from your angels and just ask, what does Judy need to know about connecting with her son? And I keep hearing 3, 2, 1, go. So, this is interesting. We've got Isaiah here, and I don't know if you can see down at the bottom, but the woman that Isaiah is with is very pregnant. So I see that as a confirmation of the messages that we've shared. It's a good time to give birth to new ideas and situations in your life. I am watching over you, guiding you, and protecting you during these changes. And so what I would focus on is the change in quality of communication between you and your son, a change in the quality and the level of connection between you and your son, and potentially you and other family members as well. That's another thing that's popping in, is if there is challenged communication between you and other members of the family, working on and supporting healing in those areas can also have a beneficial impact on the connection that you have with your son as well. It feels very reciprocal, and what we do in one has a benefit in the other relationships and connections that we have. Awesome. Judy, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support and communication your way. Awesome. Okay. VI, I'm not exactly sure how to address you. I'm going to say Vi. Oh, Vi, of course, not VI. Living on Vancouver Island. I see VI as like VI, Vancouver Island, but I'm going to call you Vi and hope that that's right. Welcome. Will I be moving from Alberta to Vancouver Island? Whew. Well, as soon as I tap into that question, immediately I want to say, sure, come on over. The water's warm here. It's not. It's actually really cold. It's the Pacific Ocean, but I have a very welcoming feeling that's coming up for you. So I do want to say that, yes, there will be a move that happens. September and into the fall is feeling really significant. And it feels like there are things that you're focusing on that need to be done. Like your energy and attention needs to be where it is right now in order for this opening and opportunity to come up in the fall. And opening an opportunity feels like it may have to do like with work or finances. And it also feels like it has to do with location as well. But when I ask, it feels like you have a pretty good idea of where on the island you would want to be. And either that is proximity to things that you enjoy, people that you enjoy, or something else. But there is a location, there is an area that you are looking at, and what I'm seeing is I'm just waiting for something to open up. I'm just looking for the right thing to open up, and boom, I'm there. So yes, use the spring and the summer as time to really get things ready on your end, so that when opportunity does present itself, that you're able to take advantage of it. As I said, September is like coming up really strongly for you. So at that point, either something is becoming available, or you are very actively looking and ready and just getting to it. I am hearing something coming up around timeline, and I do strongly feel that there is opportunity for you in September. But there's also a bit of question that's coming through as to whether or not that fits for your timing. Because I also have an opportunity that feels like it's coming up kind of 2-3 years down the road. So again, I'm really wanting to encourage you to get things sorted out in the summer, because there is opportunity that's coming up, even if you possibly aren't here as much as you would like for the next couple of years. That part is a little bit iffy for me, but if I feel like I really want to add that caveat that there could be something that's keeping you where you are or keeping you away, even though there is a spot and a space for you. But I do see that there is a move that is available, and it feels like it's in the area or in the place that you're looking for, and it's feeling like you're getting really cozy. If nothing else, if you're able to come out and visit in September, that feels like that really helps to solidify your energy here. Anytime somebody is looking to move to a new location, I always want to encourage them to take a look around at where they'd want to be and to take their energy into the neighborhood, into the community that they're wanting to relocate to, not only to like take their energy there so that it becomes more of a physical reality, but also to make sure that it does have all of the things and the resources that it has everything that they actually want. Because if it doesn't, then it can be really challenging to try to manifest something that actually isn't going to work out for you. And so it gives you opportunity to maybe look a little further afield. So if nothing else, make sure that you come out to visit in September. That feels like that's important, and it feels like it's lining everything up. But September is a really powerful time. We're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins because obviously Vancouver Island, but also because there's lots of manifestation energy with that too. And so one of the things that I'd encourage is playful energy around being able to move to the island. And the card that we have here is Break Free. And I love this card so much. It's one of my favorites in this deck. Try different ventures and experiences as a way to grow and learn. But one of the things that I love about this card is we have this dolphin that is literally catapulting itself, jumping up out of the dark waves, literally jumping into the sunshine, into the sunset. And that cloud to me kind of looks like it's a bit of an angel shape as well. So there's lots of protection, lots of support. And of course, dolphins jumping out of the water is a very natural, comfortable thing for them to do. So seeing this as being something that's just inevitable, like inevitably, a dolphin's going to jump out of the water. Inevitably, there's going to be a move. I'm so incredibly grateful that you joined us today. Thank you. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and lots of manifestation angels as well to find that space for you and to help sort and facilitate the move for you. Awesome. Amanda, you're welcome. It was a pleasure connecting with you today. Awesome. Tatiana, I'm so glad to connect with you. Okay, the situation I am in, as you know, requires some patience and protection and careful unlearning for me. How is the pace set for us and opening up to more connection and time spent? And how is he feeling about me moving forward? I feel confident, especially after the first crystal reading. Oh, perfect. And so the messages you got from the crystals. Awesome. Okay, so basically I'm going to broaden this and ask what's happening with relationship and connection for you right now. I'm hearing patience. And in fact, I'm wanting to take really deep breaths with it. I'm wanting to slow down and to become more aware of the time and the space that I am in, more conscious and reflective on how I'm spending my energy. And I'm wanting to be really stable and connected to me. So to all aspects of me, to me growing as a person, growing and connecting as a woman, I feel like there's a really strong connection in yourself. And it's not that I'm not feeling you reaching out, but it feels like instead of like using a quote unquote more masculine energy to push forward, it feels like you are magnetizing and coming into feminine and allowing energy to come to you. And so I'm feeling you really grounding into and embodying that divine feminine energy in this relationship and in this connection. With the confidence that you're feeling, allow that confidence to move into like a sense of surety. So confidence can be an energy like really forward and in your face. I'm going to be active and like I feel really confident, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to get shit done. Excuse my language. Confidence can also be I'm able to sit back, to be comfortable in and confident in the energy that everything is coming together and everything is happening. And yes, I will be active and I'll take the steps that I'm guided to take, but I'm doing so from a place of reassurance, of connection, of confidence that it is already happening and it is coming together, but also extending that into all areas of your life. So extending that into like your personal and spiritual growth and development, into your own personal sexual energy. So like with that, not to get too personal, but I'm wanting to encourage you to make sure that you've got a sexual connection and energy and relationship going on with your own body. It has nothing to do with this person. That when this person is like active in your life, like, yeah, they can share in it, but you've already got it going on. And I'm seeing this coming into your work, like a groundedness and an energy that's coming into work and into money and finances and into home and into all of the things that make you you, that make you comfortable and that make you confident. And it feels like it exudes out because there's a feeling of trying and doing that is actually blocking the process. So allow the doing for right now to come from the other side. And as you are able to build and grow and establish that relationship, then yes, obviously there's going to be more interaction that's happening back and forth. But right now, the focus, the energy, the attention is on you and building that confidence and that connection in where you are right now. Let's see, we're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Tatiana around connection, romance, and relationship. And the card that we have here is Claircognizance. This is Archangel Uriel. His message is pay attention to the thoughts and ideas that come to you as they are answered prayers. So for me, that feels like that's meditation. And I know that meditation can take a variety of different forms. Meditation can be being in a place of quiet, but I'm also seeing like nature connections coming up really strongly for meditation. Not that this is specifically meditation related, but I'm going into Tantra and tantric practices. And I'm wanting to kind of explore and experience that a bit. I don't know a lot about it, so I'm not exactly sure how much a person could do on their own, but I'm wanting to encourage you to explore that, to look at that, because it feels like that's a level that the two of you will be meeting on. Tatiana, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you for joining us. And I did send you an email last week, so please check your spam folder because that's sometimes where my messages end up because we need to reschedule. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us today. We've come to the end of our time. I'm so incredibly grateful that you've been here, that we've connected for connection with intention. Bobby will be back next week, I believe, and we'll have more fun things that are happening. As I've mentioned a couple of times this evening, pop over to universalconnections.ca. The website address is right here because I will be doing a trial live event this coming Tuesday, which is February the 14th at 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 9 p.m. Eastern. And you will need to sign up for it. And that's part of how we're keeping the spammers out. And also, hopefully, part of how we will be able to see all of the comments coming in together so it's not disjointed from one place and another. And hopefully, we'll be able to do more amazing things together. So we'll be talking about love and romance and relationship. We'll do readings. We'll have fun. And possibly Bobby will join me too. I don't know. She actually doesn't know about it yet. So that's why I can't say. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. If you wanted to connect with me for your own reading, you can do so at bookingwitherin.com. I know I still have a couple of appointments available this week and of course next week too. Sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and we'll see you again soon.